Grace and peace to you. Welcome to Morning Watch. I'm Rob, one of the pastors here at White Plains. Glad to have you with us today on a Friday. We made it, folks, to the end of the week. Thanks for being here. Thanks for liking and sharing and all of that good stuff. This is where we gather for a song and a thought for the day. So glad you're with us whenever you're watching. Hey, Robin, good morning. I hope you have an amazing day. All right, let's begin our time together by going to God in prayer. Meet me, O Christ, in this stillness of morning. Move me, O Spirit, to quiet my heart. Mend me, O Father, from yesterday's harms. From the discords of yesterday, resurrect my peace. From the discouragement of yesterday, resurrect my hope. From the weariness of yesterday, resurrect my strength. From the doubts of yesterday, resurrect my faith. From the wounds of yesterday, resurrect my love. And let me enter this new day, aware of my need and awake to your grace, O Lord. Amen and amen. That's right. Hey, Robin. Hey, Terry. Hey, Kenna. Good morning. Hey, Florida. It's Friday, Florida. Oh, you mean morning all. Okay, yes. All right. Well, honestly, I've been wanting to do this song for a while, and I needed a little bit of time to pass before I could probably get through it. This is one of my dad's favorite songs, Rich Mullins' song called Elijah. And, you know, it was one of the things Dad always told me was, that's how I want to go. Pull up the Crusader. Take me away. He was a little afraid of passing and the process of death. But leaving here and being with God, being with Jesus, being with his mom, those who had gone before, he was ready for that. And Rich Mullins has this beautiful song. Of course, Elijah, as we read in Kings, was taken up by a whirlwind to be with God. And yeah, it sounds pretty good. And especially poignant song from a writer who left us way too soon, in Rich Mullins. And you can hear it in the lyrics that Rich was ready. All right. Jordan is waiting for me to cross through. My heart is aging, I can tell. So Lord, I am asking for one last favor from you. Here's my heart and take it where you will. 'Cause this life has shown me how we're mended and how we're torn. How it's okay to be lonely as long as you're free. And sometimes my ground was stony and sometimes covered up with thorns. Only you can make it what it had to be. And now that it's done, if they dress me like a pauper, if they dine me like a prince, if they lay me with my fathers, or if my ashes scatter on the wind, I don't care. When I leave, I wanna go high. Central Park. And it won't break my heart to say goodbye. There's people been friendly, but they'll never be your friends. Sometimes this has bent me to the ground. Now all this is ending. Wanna hear some music again. It's the finest thing I've ever found. But the Jordan is waiting, though I ain't seen the other side. Still they say you can't take in the things that you have here. So on the road to salvation, stuck up my thumb and he gives me a ride. His music's already falling on my ears. There's people been talking, say they're worried about my soul. Well, I'm here to tell you I'll keep rocking until I'm sure it's my time to roll. And when I leave, when I go, I wanna go out like Elijah, with a whirlwind to fuel my chariot of fire. When I look back at the scars, they'll be like a candlelight in Central Park. It won't break my heart to say goodbye. When I go, I wanna go out like Elijah, with a whirlwind to fuel my chariot of fire. When I look back on the stars, it'll be like a candlelight in Central Park. And it won't break my heart. It won't break my heart. It won't break my heart to say goodbye. Yeah, there you go. You know, it's for songs like this that I'm thankful for this old baritone. I probably couldn't sing that song in standard in standard tuning anymore. Got to have it pitched a little lower. Yep. Well, not only have I been wanting to sing that song for a while, but it just seemed like after reading the devotional last night that this would be a good day for that song, or for at least for a meaningful song, because I'm not sure how much you're going to get out of this devotional. Well, we're continuing in our little spiritual classics book, and the diversity of thought and writing in this book is really incredible. When we go from Dr. Martin Luther King yesterday, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., to John Rusbrook. John Rusbrook, 14th century theologian, lived from 1293 to 1381. We're talking about guidance here, the spiritual discipline of guidance. We heard Dr. King's wise words on, thank you, Kenna. We heard Dr. King's words on nonviolence. And then, so I was all settled to read this last night. And I heard the name, John Rusbrook, but I was not familiar with any of his writing. And I am still not familiar with any of his writing after reading it for quite a bit last night. I have no... This is this is tough sledding. And I'll be honest, I'm not going to read you very much of it. It is dense and difficult, complicated language and complicated imagery. He begins this selection with the metaphor of waiting for the bridegroom, Christ, from Christ's parable of the maidens waiting for the bridegroom. So he places us in the position of the maiden waiting for Christ, the bridegroom, which isn't an unusual, to use that type of language, especially for that time. Then he moves into some guidance on how to be internally aware. Now, 14th century is really no stranger to this type of mystical writing. Julian of Norwich is from this time, Meister Eckhart, Catherine of Siena. There are tons of other writers, and we've even read some of them out of this book. But I've not encountered anything quite as dense and difficult as Rusbrook. So I'll read you about him, and I'll read a little excerpt of it, and then we'll wrap up. 14th century, it was a time of social and religious unrest, and it brought a flourishing of spiritual writers. And outstanding among them, I already mentioned several of them, but outstanding among them is the Flemish contemplative John Rusbroek. And this is spelled in this book, Ruusbroec, Rusbroek. But it's also sometimes spelled Ruysbroeck, sometimes pronounced Ruysbroek, John Ruysbroek. But many scholars, including Evelyn Underhill, have relied on him for clarity and description and explanation. He was born in Rosbroek, so he is really sort of John of, you may have heard him referred to as John of Ruysbroek. The town near Brussels, which is now in Belgium. He was encouraged by his mother in holiness. At 11, he left home to live with his uncle, John Hickart, a priest and a canon regular. And he pursued priestly studies, was ordained in 1317, and served as an assistant parish priest in Brussels. So Rusbroek, his uncle, and his uncle's friend Francis van Coudenberg, also a canon and a man of great piety, went to live in a hermitage in the forest of Soye in Groenendaal. By 1349, the community had grown and had become a religious institute of canons regular. He devoted himself to writing about the life of devotion. His first and best-known work was entitled The Spiritual Espousals. His treatise, The Kingdom of Lovers, was apparently over the heads of the Carthusians at Herne, who asked him for an explanation. And he was distressed that a copyist had sent to the Carthusians without his knowledge. He responded with a stellar short work called The Little Book of Clarification. So you write a devotional, and then you have to write a clarification book for it. Okay, here's how to understand what I was saying. Rusbroek wrote 11 treatises in all. Some of them were learned, meant for those much more advanced in contemplation, much more advanced than me. Others were light, popular works. Among these, the delightful Book of the 12 Beguines. In the following selection, which is at the beginning of The Interior Life, which is Book 2 of the Spiritual Espousals, Rusbroek wants us to be able to see in the way that Jesus invites us to. Notice that he mentions the power of the memory, the understanding, and the will as sources of spiritual life. Memory for Rusbroek is not just remembering things, it is a way of getting in touch with the divine. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of The Cloud of Unknowing, which is a book that my dad read. I've not read that book yet, but another book of the thin places, right? And a contemporary book of this time. I feel almost like I need to get to stay with this work, but it's a little too dense for me to try and unpack in 10 minutes on a Friday morning. So I'll read you a little taste of it. okay, where Rusbrock talks about the things that are necessary for seeing. This is the internal work. What is necessary for us to see as God sees? The first word which Christ says is see. If a person wishes to see in a supernatural way in the interior life, three things are necessary. The first of these is the light of God's grace in a higher way than what can be experienced in a life of exterior works without fervent interior zeal. The second is the stripping of all strange images and solicitude from the heart, so that a person may be free and imageless, delivered from attachments, and empty of all creatures. The third thing which is necessary is a free turning of the will and a gathering together of all the bodily and spiritual powers in such a way that the will, unencumbered by any inordinate affection, might flow into the unity of God and of the mind. This allows the rational creature to attain the sublime unity of God and to possess it in a supernatural way. It is for this reason that God created heaven and earth and all that is in them. And it is likewise for this reason that God became a human being, taught us, lived for us, and himself became the way to this unity. He died in the bond of love, ascended into heaven, and has opened up for us the same unity through which we might possess eternal bliss. Now note carefully, there is a threefold unity, which is in everyone naturally and which is in good persons supernaturally as well. The first and highest unity is that we have in God. For all creatures depend on this unity for their being, their life, and their preservation. If they were separated from God at this level, they would fall into nothingness and become nothing. This unity is in us essentially by nature, whether we are good or evil. And without our cooperation, it neither sanctifies us nor saves us. We possess this unity within ourselves and yet above ourselves, for it both grounds us and perseveres our very being and life. The second unity is also in us by nature. This is the unity of the higher powers, a unity from which they arise naturally as active powers. This is the unity of the spirit or of the mind. This is the same unity as the first, which is in God and depends on God. But here we are considering it as it regards to its activity, and there as it regards to its essence. In each case, the spirit is whole and entire according to the totality of its substance. We possess this unity within ourselves, above the activity of the senses. From it arise the powers of the memory, the understanding, and the will, our entire power of performing spiritual activity. In this unity, the soul is called spirit. And the third unity, which is in us by nature, is the ground of the bodily powers. That is the unity of the heart, which is the beginning and source of our corporeal life. The soul possesses this unity in the body and in the life-giving center of the heart. From it flows all the works of the body and of the five senses. Here the soul is simply called soul, for it is the form of the body and animates the flesh by giving it life and keeping it alive. These three unities exist naturally in a person and constitute a single life and kingdom. And then we now wish to go on, and I'm gonna stop because I feel like I'm listening to Robin Williams in his prime stand-up comedy. Whoa, slow down just a little bit. You're moving too fast. Or stepping into a 400 level class as a freshman where the teacher's halfway through with the lecture and you're trying to catch up. It's good. If you have this book or you want to read some John Rusbrock, it is not boring at all, but it's a little like walking down a difficult path in the woods and not sure you've found your way back. I will read you a little bit of Richard Foster's reflection, which I found to be very comforting. Foster writes, "Do not be disheartened if you found this Rusbrock reading an uphill climb." I was like, oh, whew. Good. It's not just me. Because he writes in an unfamiliar way and he takes us places where we are not used to going. A little unpacking of this selection may be helpful. And so he dives into sort of a breakdown of these three unities that Rusbrock is talking about here. And then he talks about, which the part that I didn't really read to, are the preparations of our soul that he calls us to. Foster explains it much simpler than Rusbrock does, but he's talking about the action of God's grace, right? And the freeing ourselves from within, and then the turning of our will toward God. It's a real interior journey. We start on the outside, looking at ourselves, looking at God, and then we really go deep into our motivations and the concerns of our heart. So yeah, I didn't find it distasteful. I just found it difficult, and especially difficult to get through more than just a couple paragraphs in a short devotional context. So there you go. John of Rusbrock for your consideration. Tomorrow, not tomorrow, but on Tuesday next week, we're going to talk about Ignatius of Loyola, which is great stuff. We've talked about the Ignatian Examen before, and so I look forward to tackling that, another form of guidance. Thanks for being here, folks. Thanks for your patience with me as I work through these works. I hope they're helpful for you. May you find peace and purpose in this day. And I will see you in church on Sunday. I may see some of you Saturday as there's several things going on Saturday, the retreat, the memorial celebration of life for Al Basham, Saturday afternoon at 2 at the church. And then we'll have a healing service on Sunday in worship at 9 and 11 o'clock services. I'm actually preaching at the Familia service at 11 o'clock. So that'll be interesting. I look forward to seeing you there in worship, and I will see you Tuesday next week for another morning watch. Thanks. Take care.